Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. On today's show, very shortly, we talk about James Gunn's furious response to Grace Randolph claiming the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker were badly received. And then we will take a deeper dive with Kevin Feige's plans for the X-Men. And finally, on a lighter note, we talk about hilarious Shazam Fury of the Gods director David F. Sandberg claiming that The Rock was hilariously stalking him on the set of that movie. But first, James Gunn has responded furiously to Grace Randolph claiming Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad were badly received. We know, though, that DC content was brilliant and wasn't badly received. So let's get into this. So this is a fan called Ligabuzzer quoting James Gunn and quote tweeting Grace Randolph. I can't see her tweet because I've been blocked since 2016 Suicide Squad. She slaughtered that film. I liked that film. I got into it with her. I was very constructive, but she doesn't like anyone opposing her and she blocked me. She's blocked hundreds and thousands of people wrongly. Anyway, I wonder if James Gunn knew the reaction to Peacemaker was less than stellar when both fans and critics have praised it and HBO Max picked it up for a second season. Now, this is a very uncharacteristic response from James. I'm a James Gunn fan, and I was shocked by this response. The earth revolves around the sun. Mothers love their children. So do fathers, by the way, James, just in case you don't think that. And Grace Randolph will spout bullshit. Wow. Now, I couldn't agree more, James. She is a bullshit propaganda merchant. She's terrible. She is toxic. She claimed that Henry Cavill was the problem. She claimed that Henry Cavill was a diva and wanted more money. She's the one who started that rumour. We have never seen Henry Cavill in interviews be anything but magnanimous. And if you go to your Man of Steel Blu-ray, there's a bit with him with a disabled fan. A disabled Superman fan, he's presenting him with something, he's looking so, meaningfully into the guy's eyes and being so respectful with love and making that guy feel so special. There is nothing toxic about Henry Cavill. He was never the problem. Is he the problem? Is he a diva because he wants Superman to be great? That he wants to be part of great Superman media? Is he the problem because he doesn't want his fucking upper lip hacked to death? No, Grace, he's not. But this is Grace Randolph, and, she appeals to the lowest brain cell, the lowest denominator. That's who Grace Randolph is. And if that offends you, if you're a Grace Randolph fan, because I'm still subscribed to her YouTube channel, because sometimes I find her moderately interesting. The thing is with Grace, sometimes she can say some good things, but all of a sudden, I think when the views are a bit low, she has to do something. She can't use her talent because she doesn't have any, so she has to spout stuff like that. As I say, if anyone can screenshot what she posted and send it to me, either on my timeline or my direct messages on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, please do so. I'm assuming she's saying that he doesn't have much of a future under Zaslav. I'm assuming she's saying that Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad were badly received, because I think that's what she said. Now, that, of course, is a lie, because I love the Suicide Squad and I love Peacemaker. James Gunn makes entertaining content. And at the end of the day, there's only one piece of MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, Marvel Studios media I'm looking forward to, and that's James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Because nothing else matters to me now in the MCU, because I know it's run by Feige, but I know the Guardians movies are directly moulded and run by James Gunn. I trust him. Yes, his stuff is very, very samey. He's a one-trick pony. That's not a criticism, but I still like what he does. I love how he interacts with us, the fans, as well. He's a genuine person. Grace Randolph is just interested in clicks and likes and shares. She's a failed actress. She uses this to say that she has connections in Hollywood. Now, don't get me wrong. Some of the kind of stuff she tells us is true. That doesn't win her many fans. But lying about James Gunn's The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker being, badly received is the most toxic thing you can do. Because this is a rewriting of history. It's simply not true. And I mean, this is what she does. She turns on people. She used to interview Zack Snyder, then she went against Snyderverse fans and said that, the Snyderverse would never be restored. What's beautiful about David Zaslav and the Discovery merger, she doesn't have anyone to tell her, to leak her things anymore, because Toby Emmerich was her source of information. In the end of August, September, he will be officially stepping down as the chairperson, whatever you want to call him, of Warner Brothers Pictures. He's going to be replaced by a couple of superior, talented people, which is very, very exciting, but she will not have any link into the studio. And what a toxic link to have, Toby Emmerich. Of course it was him who told her to spread around that Henry Cavill was the problem and he was a diva. We know Henry's no diva. And if there's no bigger diva right now at Warner Brothers than Toby Emmerich himself. So I was shocked by this James Gunn reaction, but I support it. Well done, James. Because these directors always talk about, compassion and caring, and being kind. So they don't normally like to respond this way. But I don't blame him, by the way. It's good to see a creative be real instead of, posting analogies and, hashtags and stuff like that. He's being, he's reacting within the moment with a very clever sonnet, isn't it? I think it's brilliant what he said. She does speak bullshit because we all know that we all loved James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Yes, I have issues with James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. I don't like the way that he kills off a lot of David Ayer's characters, like Captain Boomerang, who was brilliant. Rick Flag, again, fucking brilliant. You shouldn't be killing off these characters, James, but you did. That was your decision. And, as a creative, I have to respect that. But I loved the movie. The choreography, the cinematography, the storytelling was absolutely brilliant in the movie, and I loved it. And I loved Peacemaker as well. So, to say that people didn't like Peacemaker is the biggest of lies, but she does it on purpose. She's so happy that he came at her because it gives her more attention. She doesn't care about the hate. She'll just block you, as I explained, just like she did to me, if anyone comes at her constructively. Or unconstructively, she doesn't care. This is what these influencers do, and she is an influencer. She's not a critic. She's not a pundit. Not really. She is just an influencer. She will post anything. She will do anything. She will say anything for your fucking attention. And as I said earlier, she's going for the lowest I can't even say the word, denominator. That's the word, isn't it? But yeah, she'll go for the lowest brain cell. And that's what Grace Randolph does. And we have got to stop taking the bait. I mean, in a way, James Gunn has taken the bait there, but you can't blame him because this has been a bit of a feud between James and Grace for a very long time. She made some claim about him. I can't remember what it was. He said something, and she's kind of had it in for him since then. So I don't think she gave James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, a good review. I don't think she gave it a terrible one either. She tried to be clever with what she said. She believes she can influence your opinion on films. She thinks what she says goes. And it's the same with all these fucking people at Collider, John Campea, etc., etc. They don't have the power. Hollywood only have the power to create, using the terms loosely these days. You and me have the power. We are the kingmakers. We are these people's bosses, whether you're a critic, an influencer, an actor, producer, director. If we don't support your content, whether it's on YouTube or it's a movie, in cinemas, in the movie theatre, if we don't go, and if we don't say they're good, then you don't make money. And you should be nicer to us than you actually are. So well done, James Gunn. That's brilliant. Someone needed to tell her, unfortunately, your reaction was exactly what she wanted. But at the end of the day, sometimes you just have to take the bait. There's no way around it. You've been there, I've been there. It's very difficult when people are coming at us to keep quiet, although I do try and bite my tongue as much as I can. Miss Marvel finale holds latest and most significant breadcrumb leading to the MCU's X-Men introduction. Between that Earth 838 Professor X cameo in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness to Taron Egerton lobbying to play Wolverine, the slow but steady integration of the beloved mutant superhero group is well underway. By Sidney Odman of The Hollywood Reporter. Marvel continues to tease the long-awaited crossover that fans have been dying to see. By the time you see everyone and Feige's plans, you would have wished you never saw it. You would have wished that Disney never bought Fox. The emergence of the X-Men into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For years, the X-Men were distinctly kept out of the MCU. That was a good thing, by the way. Narrative due to rights issues. Bryan Singer's X-Men films of the early 2000s remained under the ownership of 20th Century Fox. But since Disney's acquisition of Fox in 2019, the addition of mutants to the universe have been imminent. 3 years later, we're finally seeing the pieces slowly but surely come together in what points to a full debut for the X-Men into the MCU. But it's no version of the X-Men any of us are going to want to see. In the trail of breadcrumbs that Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige and team continue to leave behind throughout Phase 4, the latest development might be the most important of all. Following a big reveal at the close of the Miss Marvel season finale, mutants are now in the mix. Sort of Bruno Matt Lynch reveals to Kamala Iman Viliani that it isn't just the Bangle or her clandestine heritage that has unlocked her cosmic powers. There's a mutation in her DNA. With Khan's impending mutant status, it opens up a major entry point for other mutants like the X-Men to emerge. While Kamala from the comics is an Inhuman, which is a big bugbear for all the die-hard Marvel fans. No, not the MCU fans. They're not real Marvel fans. The comic book fans are the life breath of this fandom, and they're not happy, and I don't blame them. Which could potentially explain her genetic mutation. Another clue narrows it down after Bruno breaks the news: the recognizable guitar riff from the beloved 90s show X-Men. The animated series plays, hinting at what's to come. Did we imagine it? No. It's even listed in the song credits as X-Men 97 theme. So basically, while bastardizing the X-Men in the comic books and making Miss Marvel a mutant and maybe one of the first members of the MCU version of the X-Men, they're playing a classic theme tune of a classic animated interpretation of the X-Men. It's typical Kevin Feige, isn't it? He just isn't reading the room right now. And that's not the first time that the X-Men theme song has popped up in the MCU. Yet another entry point into the world of the X-Men comes from the multiverse itself, most notably from a cameo from Professor X, Patrick Stewart. In Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Stewart made his return to the character as a multiverse version of Charles Xavier from Earth 838. Upon his first appearance in the Doctor Strange sequel, a tease of that same X-Men theme plays as the camera pans to Stewart, sitting in a classic yellow hover chair, much like the character in the comics and animated series. And whether mutants exist on Earth 616 or across the multiverse, Marvel seems to be including closer and closer to X-Men related storylines than ever before. The Miss Marvel mutant bomb also comes fortuitously after chatter about Taron Egerton having talks to perhaps play Wolverine went viral. Isn't this the actor who tried to play a a modern day version of Robin Hood? That didn't work. This little geezer can't be fucking Wolverine. We saw a 6-foot fucking shit brick house in Hugh Jackman, gymmed up, playing Wolverine with acting talent and great development and writing from Bryan Singer and his different teams over at Fox. How can this guy be Look, I wouldn't do Wolverine or Logan in the MCU. Never! You can never outdo what Jackman did. You're just cruising for a bruising. And it should, let me just get rid of this pop-up, sorry. Right. After playing the fan favourite mutant in X-Men 2000 and several subsequent, where are we? Yeah, fellow, yes, start again. So, Hugh Jackman, who became a household name after playing the fan favourite mutant in X-Men 2000 and several subsequent films, and it should always be noted that the Holy Trinity Blade 1998, X-Men and Spider-Man 2002 proved films based on Marvel characters were finally viable in the eyes of the major studios. Thus, the MCU was born, unfortunately. I'm saying that, not the journalist. I'd be excited, but I'd be apprehensive as well because Hugh is so associated with the role that I'd wonder if it'd be very difficult for someone else to do it. Exactly, Taron. That's what Taron Egerton said. But hopefully, if it does come around, they'll give me a shot. Additionally, the evolution of Wanda Maximoff, Elizabeth Olsen, into the Scarlet Witch also hints at a potential X-Men crossover in her own storyline. While the Scarlet Witch is seemingly out for the count following the events of Multiverse of Madness, the character is undoubtedly a major link between the Avengers and the X-Men, having famously served in both supergroups throughout the comics. Not to mention Evan Peters' cameo in WandaVision. Yes, but he wasn't playing the same character. So, Ralph Boner, which was another cringe fake idea, didn't work out. Fans fucking hated it. Who played a version of Wanda's brother? He didn't. Pietro Maximoff? He didn't. He was lying. He wasn't really him. AKA Quicksilver. Peters played the role in the Fox X-Men films, and Aaron Taylor Johnson played the MCU's first incarnation of Quicksilver in Avengers Age of Ultron 2015. You would have thought this journalist would have done his homework about Ralph Boner. In the comics, the Maximoff twins are the offspring of villainous Magneto, which I don't think they've stuck to here. Obviously, they haven't. You would have thought the MCU would have thought about doing that, or maybe hold off on that origin story until maybe they had the rights to get involved with the X-Men. But they weren't very clever. Feige wasn't very clever, because that's the best backstory of all. A possibility that hasn't totally been ruled yet, as it pertains to the multiverse. While fans were disappointed when it was revealed that Peter's character in WandaVision had no connection to his X-Men role. Oh, you did do your research. Marvel rarely makes meaningless moves, and the door is still open for Peters to make a return as Quicksilver in some capacity. But my good friend Lizzie Olsen would rather have the original actor who played her brother. I can tell you that directly, and she's been quoted in media in saying that as well. We shall see. After all, last we saw of the original X-Men team in X-Men Days of Future Past, Wolverine Jackman had successfully reset their timeline, effectively erasing the events of the previous Singer films with all the X-Men alive and well. It sets the ideal scene for Feige and team to step in and deliver. You never want to see anyone doing away with what Singer did, because Singer's first two movies were amazing. His mistake was going over to do Superman Returns. He should have done his trilogy. He should have left Superman alone. It was a passion of his to make a Superman movie, but it didn't work out. He should have stayed with Fox's X-Men, because those first two X-Men movies are two of the best comic book movies, CBMs, of all time. No question about it. I know all the stuff going on around about him. It's not about him personally. I'm talking about his craft, and what I'm saying are facts. And with Steve Rogers, Tony Stark and Natasha Romanoff seemingly out of the picture, it certainly clears the playing field for a shift in the narrative, something nobody wants. Nobody wants the Kevin Feige narrative. We've already seen in Phase 4 what that means. Perhaps one less focused on the Avengers and more centered on teams like the X-Men and other superhero groups. That would be great if you thought they would do it properly, but they won't. Centered on teams like the X-Men and other superhero groups across the galaxy. Fans looking at you, Fantastic Four. The entire first season of Miss Marvel is streaming now on Disney+. Basically, this was just a shameless promotion, a desperate attempt to get somebody, anybody, to watch that boring, dull show. Not the actor's fault. It's not the representation and inclusion of that culture's fault. That was done really, really well, but the show was fucking boring. Now, I mentioned this fleetingly yesterday. His Miss Marvel reveal, Feige's Miss Marvel reveal, proves that he has a terrible take on the X-Men. And all it's going to be is shit. And all it's going to be is going to be woke. And all it's going to be is an SJW narrative. Now, that's not what Bryan Singer did. Now, I know all about the X-Men comics. They have a lot of social justice commentary, social commentary. And there's nothing wrong with social commentary. You know, the X-Men were created to make a stand against bigotry, you know, and that's great and that's brilliant. We know that Magneto, when he was a boy, his parents, because Magneto's a Jew, and his parents were, I think, gassed by the Nazis. So it's a great story. It's a story about, it's anti-intolerance, and I like that. But just because that's the theme, it doesn't mean you can handle those themes badly. And I'm sorry, Feige doesn't have the chops to pull the X-Men off. He doesn't have the chops to pull the Fantastic Four off, because Feige isn't the genius I thought he was mistakenly, and you did. Other people were propping him up. And since those people have left, he's been exposed as a bad, untalented Marvel creative. And you know what? Let it carry on. Because the more shit he makes the MCU, the better the DCEU is going to look. Because we're about to talk about David F. Sandberg, on a lighter note, of course, and The Rock and what they got up to during the production of Shazam! Fury of the Gods. And this is why I think that the DCEU is going to go from strength to strength if they make the right decisions about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and the Flash movie, because I think the Shazam universe is in fine fettle. Anyone discovering me and this channel and my different platforms for the first time needs to understand one thing. I'm a passionate DC live action fan. That's my fandom. That's what I fucking support. And I want the DC live action universe to be the best ever. And I want us to crush the shitty MCU. Now, I'll talk about the MCU sometimes. I've got all the movies in my cabinet. I watch them. I enjoy some of them. But for me, I absolutely agree with what Martin Scorsese said in the New York Times. And let me just be clear about that. Anyway, finally today, on a lighter note, we focus on the DCEU. Shazam 2 director says Dwayne Johnson stalked him while filming by Charlene Batassi of Giant Freaking Robot. I think that's the site anyway, so let's go. When Shazam was released in 2019, expectations for the movie were lukewarm at best, since Billy Batson isn't one of DC's best-known characters. But on the strength of Zachary Levi's charismatic performance and the direction of David F. Sandberg, the heartfelt coming-of-age superhero story became a hit with fans and critics. Now well into the production of its sequel, the director is sharing stories from the set. The most entertaining tale features Shazam's its sequel. The director is sharing stories from the set. The most entertaining tale features Shazam's comic book rival Black Adam, who Dwayne Johnson brings to life on screen. As part of his hilarious Instagram post entries called True Tales from Shazam 2, Sandberg insinuates that Dwayne Johnson was wearing elaborate disguises and leaving him mysterious notes while both movies were filming at the same time. The photo slides, which are essentially mini comic books animated by the director, hilariously detail the fictional behind-the-scenes stories. The cartoons of the Black Adam star cheekily acknowledge they're not entirely I can't read that word, screen persona the former WWE star has crafted during his acting career. Wow. Look, let's see if we can keep this up. So this is what he's put up there. So what it says, if you can't see that, totally true tales from Shazam 2. So much fun. Brilliant. As such, Sandberg pencils himself having several encounters with Dwayne Johnson in not-so-deceptive disguises. The action star is assumed to be slipping the director anonymous messages about the balance of power shifting in the DC universe. These cryptic notes are signed only with his biceps measurements, adding to the amusing mystery. The director has previously released two similar animated posts about Shazam! Fury of the Gods. The first featured franchise newcomer Helen Mirren, with the second focusing on returning star Jack Dylan Grazer, that we absolutely love. No, it's Jack Dylan Grazer. I got it right the first time. While it's safe to assume that Sandberg's cartoons are only in jest, nothing specifically in the final frame, he can't be certain if he's ever really met Dwayne Johnson. Some fans are hoping that the post is confirmation of a Black Adam cameo in Shazam sequel, But unfortunately, it seems like the stories will remain split for now. The original plan was to tell the two origin stories of Shazam and Black Adam in the same movie. That's something I wish they did personally, but they didn't. That's what we had worked on, Johnson said during the recent press event via comic book. However, the actor felt like separating them would be best for the characters. They wanted to make more money with more content. I understand that. The script was delivered when we all read the script. I immediately felt like we have to separate these two movies. We have to honour Shazam and that origin story and what that is and what that can be for the fans, and then we also have to tell our story too. Dwayne Johnson explained. The biggest reason for splitting them up was because, except for hardcore comic book fans, the mainstream audience might not know who Black Adam is. It was important to tell each story respectively. The Jumanji star added, I understand the logic towards it. I just think a film with Shazam and Black Adam as the villain would have been fucking epic. And, you know, it's an excuse to print money as far as I'm concerned. Black Adam marks the first superhero venture for Dwayne Johnson, who has been attached to play the anti-hero since 2014. Now, after countless production delays, the popular DC character is ready to make his feature debut this October. The film is directed by Jaime Collet-Serra from a script by Adam Sitskill, Rory Haynes and Saurabh Noshvani. Plot details are currently under wraps, not from me, but according to a 2020 report by the Illuminati, Black Adam will tell the origin story of Tef Adam while bringing the Justice Society of America into DC Extended Universe. Starring alongside Johnson is Noah Centineo, who's great, Aldis Hodge, who's even better, Sarah Shahi, who is fire, Quintessa Swindell, brilliant, and Pierce Brosnan, the star of the fucking show, if you ask me. And that is the article. So I like this. I like these little animated frames that David F. Sandberg does. This guy is a fucking horror director, and he's the most funniest person around. But, you know, Dick Donner, one of his early movies, was The First Omen with Gregory Peck, a horror movie, but the guy was so funny on set, and he kept the energy of his actors and crew going. So that was Richard Donner, and this is what David F. Sandberg's like. I like Sandberg. He comes from, you know, the background of making, you know, humble YouTube videos and doing tutorials about filmmaking. So his backstory is as sensational as any superheroes. This is great. This proves that we're definitely getting Black Adam in October, and we're getting Shazam! Fury of the Gods in December, 5 days after Avatar: Way of the Water. Wouldn't it be fucking amazing if Shazam! Fury of the Gods could fucking stay at least with, you know, at pace with Avatar 2, maybe even beat it? Sounds impossible, but I'm starting to get more confident, because if Black Adam and Shazam! Fury of the Gods do so well, and the hype level is going to be real this time next week at San Diego Comic-Con. I'm not sure if they're on the Saturday panels in Hall H or Sunday, but in a week's time, we'll be experiencing, or we would have experienced, that panel. And hopefully, Zachary and Dwayne Johnson stand toe-to-toe together in Hall H as well, because that would be fucking amazing. I believe these two films are going to be successful. And this is brilliant, because this could be the true rebirth of the DCEU. You can kind of put the Flash movie and its changes to one side and focus on the Shazam universe. And what's great about the Shazam universe, even in the comic books, it's a great entry point for Superman. So if these two films in the Shazam universe are really successful, then basically David Zaslav has got a successful entry point, and, you know, he'll have to be in the Flash movie. I don't know if he will. But if these movies are successful, as I think they will be, then we're going to have a great entry point for the future of the DCEU. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you on Monday's video. Until we see each other again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.